Hello. In this video, we are going to talk about successive percentage changes. We'll begin with an example. If I want to increase 40 by 30% first and then by 25%. Now there are two ways in which I can proceed. I can increase 40 by 30% first and then by 25%, which has been asked of me. Or I can simply increase 40 by 55%. 30 plus 25, that is 55%. Now we will see if we get same answer in both the situations. So I'll increase 40 by 55% first. Fraction for 55% would be 55 upon 100, that is 11 by 20, and to increase by 55% I have to add 1 to 11 by 20, that would be 31 by 20, and this would give me the answer as 62. Now in the second scenario, I'll increase 40 by 30% first. So fraction for 30% is 3 by 10, and increase of 3 by 10 would mean 13 upon 10 as the multiplying factor. So my answer would be 40 into 13 by 10, and that is 52. Now I'll increase 52 by 25%. So I'll multiply 5 by 4 to 52, and I'll get 65 as the answer. So in the first scenario, I got 62 as the answer, whereas the correct answer when I'm doing this process step by step is 65. So in short, I could conclude that when two or more than 2 percentage operations are to be done on a number in succession, I should not add those percentages directly. Okay, let us try to look at an example. Raju's salary is 32,000 per month. Now it is first increased by 25% and then decreased by 25%. So if I apply the wrong logic to it, I'll simply add up 25% and minus 25%, that is for decrease. I'll simply add these values up and I'll get 0% as the percent change. So I'll conclude then that Raju's salary will remain 32,000 only. But this process of thinking would give me the wrong solution. So I'll try to do this problem in succession. How? Raju's salary is 32,000 first. I'll increase it by 25%. So increase of 25% is 1 by 4. So increase would be 5 by 4. The multiplying factor would be 5 by 4. So this would give me 40,000 as the final salary. Now I'll decrease 40,000 by 25%. So decrease would be 1 minus 1 by 4, that is 3 by 4. So my final answer would be 30,000. So Raju's salary have now become 30,000 from 32,000. So in short, Raju's boss is a con man. He has been cheating Raju for his faulty calculations. Okay, now what we have been asked? The final salary of Raju. So we'll directly multiply 32,000 by 5 by 4 and then by 3 by 4 for each successive percentage change. So this would give us 30,000 as the final salary. Now what if I was asked by how much percent will the final salary of Raju increase or decrease? How will I calculate that? So the overall multiplying factor is 5 by 4 into 3 by 4. That would give me 15 by 16 as the overall multiplying factor. Now if I want to convert 15 by 16 again back to percentage, we have seen this in the previous video. I'll subtract 15 by 16. I'll subtract 1 from 15 by 16. This would give me 1 by 16 as the decrease. Now 15 by 16 minus 1 is a negative value, hence the decrease. Now 1 by 16 decrease, what does that mean in terms of percentage? Equivalence, fraction equivalence of 12.5% is 1 by 8. So for 1 by 16, it would be 6.25% decrease. Okay. So this similar problem, the same problem could be solved directly using formulas too. Let us have a look at the formulas. So the basic formula is when 2 percentage changes are applied in succession. Let's say a number is first increased by A% and then increased by B%. So overall percentage increase is A plus B plus AB upon 100. And this would come out to be in percent. If I have an increase first and then decrease, I'll replace the second value by negative of that value. So I'll get the formula as A minus B minus AB upon 100. So in the previous question, I had an increase of 25% and then a decrease of 25%. So the point number 5 will apply to this situation when the increase and decrease were of same percentage. So my answer would be 25 minus 25 minus 25 square upon 100. So this would give me minus 625 upon 100, or I can say 6.25% decrease. So this particular formula could apply to a number of situations. Let us talk about these situations. What kind of questions come in exam where this formula could be applied. And we have also seen that the problem could be solved without using this formula too. And that would be the method I recommend you to do or to apply in exam. But let us see how this formula could be used in a variety of situations. So this formula could be applied in the first scenario. We have already discussed this, where X is increased or decreased by a certain percentage and then again increased or decreased by a certain percentage. And the next situation in which this formula could be applied is where the relationship A into B is equal to C occurs. Now, where could this relationship occur? When we are talking about price, sale and revenue, where price when multiplied by sale would give us the revenue. Or in case of price and consumption, suppose the price of rice is 35 per kg and you eat 10 kgs of rice. So overall expenditure would be 35 into 10, and that is rupees 350. This could also be applied in case of area of rectangle where two variables are involved. So whenever two variables are getting multiplied to give you a third value, this relationship A into B is equal to C would occur, and we can apply this formula directly. Let us try to solve a few problems based on this formula. We have also seen that a problem could be solved with or without using this formula. We have solved the problem related to Raju previously without using this formula. We'll solve this again using formulas too. Let us try to have a look at a few problems. So a number is decreased by 25% and then increased by 20%. I'll recommend you to pause the video and try solving these questions. We will discuss them one by one. So I can directly apply the formula to the first question and I'll get minus 25 for decrease and plus 20 for increase, and their product would give me a negative sign overall. So I'll get the answer as minus 10. Answer for this calculation would come out to be minus 10, which would mean an overall decrease of 10%. Moving on to the next question. A number is first increased by 12.5% and then increased by 14.28%. So on applying the formula to this question, I'll get 12.5 plus 14.28 plus 12.5 into 14.28 upon 100. Now, doing this calculation would be a tough task. So I'll recommend that when the percent values given in the question are typical, such as these, so I'll suggest you to go by the fraction method in that scenario. So we'll try to solve this question by using fractions. Now fraction equivalence for 12.5% is 1 by 8, but for increase we will add 1 to 1 by 8 and we will get the multiplying factor as 9 by 8. Again, the increase of 14.28%. So the fraction equivalence of 14.28% is 1 by 7, but for increase we will add 1 to 1 by 7 and we will get 8 by 7. So on multiplying these two multiplying factors, we will get an overall multiplying factor of 9 by 7. And converting 9 by 7 back to percentage, what does 9 by 7 mean? 9 by 7 simply means an increase of 2 by 7. 9 by 7 minus 1, that is 2 by 7. And 2 by 7 simply means an increase of 28.56%. So there is a limitation to the formula, whereas fractions could be used in all sorts of problems. Moving on to the next question. A number is increased by 20%, 10% and then 20% again. So when there are three percentages involved and they are operated on a number successively, we cannot use the formula again in this situation. Formula was only for percentage changes when 2 percentage changes were involved. And in this case, there is no such formula as a plus b plus c plus abc upon 100. There is no such kind of formula. So once again, we will have to proceed using fractions only. So an increase of 20% would mean 6 by 5, 10% increase would mean 11 by 10, and again 20% increase would mean 6 by 5. On multiplying these multiplying factors, we will get an overall multiplying factor as 396 upon 250. So there are situations where numbers like these would appear, but you don't have to worry about them. You simply have to move on with the procedure that you have understood. So to convert this multiplying factor back to percentage, what we will do? We'll subtract 1 to it to find out the increase. So we will get 396 upon 250 minus 1 into 100. And that would come out to be 146 upon 250 into 100. On cancelling 250 and 100 by 25, finally I would get the answer as 58.4%. So number of seats in a cinema hall is increased by 50%, and price of ticket is also increased by 33.33%. Now do you see A into B is equal to C kind of relationship here? If number of seats are multiplied by price of one seat, I will get the overall revenue collected by the cinema hall. So there is a relationship A into B is equal to C. So either I can apply the formula A plus B plus AB upon 100, or I can proceed with the fraction. I can simply multiply the respective fractions for each increase and decrease to get the overall multiplying factor. So for increase of 50%, my multiplying factor would be 3 by 2. Again, an increase of 33.33%, the equivalent fraction for that is 1 by 3. And for increase, I'll add 1 to 1 by 3, and that would be 4 by 3. So the overall answer would be 4 by 2, that is 2. What does 2 mean? If I want to convert 2 again to percentage, a fraction of 2 simply means 200%. But here we have to calculate the increase or decrease. So 2 means an increase of 2 minus 1 into 100, that is 100%. So there is an increase of 100% in the revenue collected by the cinema hall. An error of 5% in x's is made while measuring the side of a square. So formula for area of a square is x square, where x is the side of a square. And this particular side is measured 5% in x's. So we can see the relationship A into B is equal to C over here. So either I can apply the formula directly, or I can proceed with the fractions. So while using fractions, and error of 5% in x's, what does that mean? Fraction equivalence of 5% is 1 by 20, and 5% in x's means 1 by 20 plus 1, that is 21 by 20. So for each side in the formula, I'll multiply 21 by 20, and I'll get 441 by 400 as the overall multiplying factor. Now 441 by 400 simply means an increase of 41 by 400, and on multiplying this by 100, I'll get 10.25% increase in the area. Now in this particular question, I believe that applying formula would be a lot more easier. So this will totally depend on your judgment, where to proceed with fractions and in which questions to apply the formula directly. This judgment you will develop by solving more and more problems. Now there is one more variety of problem that is frequently asked in the exam. Earlier we saw that A and B were either increased or decreased, and overall percentage change in C was asked. But in the next variety that we are talking about, A will either increase or decrease by a certain percentage, and you will be asked by how much percent B should be increased or decreased so that the result C does not change. So A will either increase or decrease, and C will remain constant. You have to calculate by how much percent should B be decreased or increased respectively. So let us see an example based on this logic. Price of rice is increased by 20%. By how much percent must the consumption be decreased? Now this is what happens in the regular household. Price of onion goes up, we reduce the consumption. Price of dal goes up, we take less of dal each month. So what is the relation between price and consumption and expenditure? Price into consumption will give us expenditure. Now if you don't know how to reach to this relation, you can take an example of regular household. Suppose price of rice is 35 rupees per kg and you consume 5 kg of rice each month. So what would your expenditure be? That would be 35 into 5, that is rupees 175 per month. So I'll replace price, consumption and expenditure by P, C and E. So this is my old relation. Let us talk about the new relation. Price of rice is increased by 20%. So the fraction for 20% is 1 by 5. But an increase of 20% would give me a multiplying factor of 6 by 5. So P has become 6 by 5P now. And E is still E. And there would be a fraction multiplied to C so that E remains E again. E will not change. The expenditure will not change. So if I have to calculate F, now what should the fraction be? To cancel out 6 by 5 that I have multiplied to price, my fraction should be 5 by 6. So that 6 by 5 and 5 by 6 would cancel out each other. So my fraction for consumption would come out to be 5 by 6. So my overall consumption is decreased by 1 by 6. There is a 1 by 6 decrease in the overall consumption. And 1 by 6 means a decrease of 16.66%. Let us try to solve a few similar questions. Length of rectangle is increased by 12.5% and there is a decrease in the breadth of the rectangle. Now we know that the area of rectangle is length into breadth. So L is increased by 12.5%. Now fraction equivalence of 12.5% is 1 by 8. And for increase we will add 1 to 1 by 8. So L will now become 9 by 8 L. Again, for decrease in B, there will be some fraction multiplied and the result A remains same. So if I compare the old equation with the new equation, all I have to do is to cancel out 9 by 8 using the fraction F, so that 9 by 8 and F will cancel out each other and the old equation will appear again. So in order to do that, my fraction F should be equal to 8 by 9. So that 9 by 8 and 8 by 9 would get cancelled and I'll get the equation L into B is equal to A again. So 8 by 9 means a decrease of 1 by 9. That means 11.11% decrease. Now moving on to the next question. Raju's salary is increased by 37.5%. If the old salary of Raju was S, now it has increased by 37.5%. So fraction equivalence for 37.5% is 3 by 8 and an increase of 3 by 8 means 3 by 8 plus 1, that is 11 by 8. So the new salary has become 11 by 8S. Now what percent should the new salary be decreased to result in the original salary again? So if I want 11 by 8S to become S again, I have to multiply a fraction of 8 by 11 to it. Now what does 8 by 11 mean? 8 by 11 simply means a decrease of 3 by 11. So 3 by 11 simply means a percentage change of 27.27%. The fraction equivalence of 9.09% is 1 by 11. So 3 by 11 would mean a percentage decrease of 27.27%. Moving on to the next question. Harish bought a horse for rupees 20,000. He increased its price and then again the price got decreased and we have to calculate the final cost to Sonu. So the situation could be described as 20,000 was first increased by 20%. We got some value and that value was then decreased by 5% and then we have to calculate the final value. So for 20% increase, we know that the multiplying factor would be 6 by 5 and for 5% decrease, the multiplying factor would be 19 by 20. So the final answer would be 20,000 into 6 by 5 into 19 by 20. So this calculation would come out to be 22,800 rupees. So no matter how many times the percentage increase or decrease operation is done on a certain number, all you have to do is just keep on multiplying the respective multiplying factors to get the overall answer. So there is one more thing, one last thing that I want to talk about. That is, if this question, this similar question was written in this format, Harish bought a horse for rupees 20,000. Now instead of increasing the price of 20%, what is given to us is that he sold to Monica at a profit of 20%. Instead of increase, the word profit is mentioned over here, and Monica sold it to Sonu at a loss of 5%. Instead of decrease of 5%, I have mentioned a loss of 5%. Now my point here is that even on solving the similar question that I have given below, the answer would come out to be 22,800 only. What I mean to say is that profit and loss are no different than increasing or decreasing a number by a certain percentage. We'll have a look at this concept of profit and loss in the next video. Till then, thank you.